It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of YAVAPAI Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking many different topics, and my guest in studio today is Arizona Game and Fish Boating Safety and Education Coordinator Josh Hoffman. Josh, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. As we all know, it is Monsoon Awareness Week, so we're going to start with this, paddle boarding. You guys get a lot of paddle boarders every year. We know that with the restrictions for COVID starting to lighten up, a lot more people going out on the water, but once monsoon season arrives, it gets a little dangerous. So let's start with the more, in my opinion, the more susceptible, the paddle boarders. What happens if you're out on the water and that happens?
Well, all of our lakes, you've got very limited visibility a lot of times, so the storms can really sneak up on you. Can't see very far to the horizon. Paddle boarders, you're on a paddleboard, wind is a huge factor. If you've ever tried to stand up and paddle against the wind, it's a tough battle. And wind is a huge factor with the thunderstorms that spring up.
Right.
So you've got a good chance of maybe not being able to get to where you want to get if you're on a paddleboard. Any paddle craft, you do not want to ride out a storm on the lake. You want to get to the shore. So it might not be the shore you were planning on getting to, but you should definitely get off the water right away. It's really important to be wearing a life jacket when you're on a paddleboard. Paddleboards can be used as a flotation aid, but they are not legally meeting the requirement of having a flotation device. So if you're an adult, you need to have a life jacket on the deck, if not on your person. And a leash is a really good idea. If you get knocked off your paddleboard, it's going to kick out from under you, and if there's any wind at all, you're not catching that paddleboard. It's going to go a lot faster than you can swim, and if you were counting on that as your flotation device, then you're really in a tough spot.
Yeah, and like you said, putting those leashes around your ankles so that the board basically just jumps right back at you.
Yeah,
and you can
just
grab
pull
onto
it right back
Yeah,
to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what about boating? People always see out on the lakes in their boats, monsoon hits. What do? You may have a little bit more shelter compared to a paddleboard, but still quite as dangerous. What happens there?
Yeah, so the main risks with the thunderstorms is the wind and the lightning. Rain, okay, it's a bit of a novelty, and sometimes we panic over rain here in Arizona, but you're just going to get wet. So you want to be concerned about the wind. Where is it pushing you? You want to maintain some headway, but decrease your speed. And be aware that when you're on the water, whether in your boat or a paddlecraft of some sort, you're the tallest object around. So you're much greater risk for lightning strikes. Getting to shelter is your primary objective, and in a powerboat, it might not be the ramp. You know, we had a couple of really bad monsoons hit Lake Pleasant 2 years ago that drove right directly into the 10 lane. And all of the boaters that saw the storm coming and tried to get off the lake in time, they were in the worst possible spot when that storm hit.
Right.
Boats were driven up on the ramp, up on the shore. The dock was ripped off its moorings. A lot of damage, a lot of boats sunk. If those boats had just turned off left or right and tucked into a cove for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, the storm passes, and you're good to go. So safest place to be might not be back to the ramp.
Yeah, but like you said, if you can find the closest shelter, much like if you're a paddleboarder, if you can get to a shore very quickly, you increase your chances of surviving that particular situation, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and then also, like you said, lightning too. Boats got a lot of metal on them.
Yeah. What
do you do in that situation? Do you try to just stay away from it as much as possible, or what happens
So
there?
if you manage to get tucked into a cove, drop an anchor, or if you're making your way, have everybody in the boat, first of all, make sure everybody's wearing their life jacket, and then get down in the center of the boat. Stay low. Try and keep everybody in the vessel low, nobody standing up, and keep that in mind too when you get tucked into a shelter. Just stay low, wait out the storm. It's going to be an adventure that you'll recount later. Might not like it
Hopefully.
too much at the time, right? Yeah.
And then, a few boats do have that lower deck. You can go into that lower deck and try to wait out the monsoon if you can't get to a shore. So it seems to be that the most important thing if you're caught in a monsoon is try to get to land quickly.
In a paddlecraft, definitely.
Right.
Powerboat, maybe not so, because the wind and the waves could, you're going to be making the call how much damage you want to take on your vessel.
Right.
But if you can find somewhere where the wind isn't going to push you up against a canyon wall or up on the rocks, a cove, and just drop an anchor or keep your engine running, maintain headway. Important thing to keep in mind if it's raining hard is make sure you've got your bilge pump running, because it'll pump out all the rainwater that's getting dumped in your boat.
So, monsoon usually ticks off around July 4th, which is when a lot of people do like to be out on the water. But what about the inverse? People out on the land. You're out on your quads, you're out on your ATVs, your OHVs, whatever you want to call them. What about that? What if you're caught on land, you're away from your camp, and you're on an ATV and monsoon hits? What do you do?
Well, you're going to want to first pay attention to where you're at. A lot of our quad and side-by-side trails are in the washes. And a wash is a sketchy place to be in the middle of a monsoon. Yeah. So you want to get out of the low wash area, but at the same time you don't want to get up on a ridge line where lightning is going to be more of an issue. You're not going to want to seek shelter under the tallest ponderosa that's around, but you might want to tuck in underneath some trees and wait it out. You're going to want to get out of the wash. And keep in mind that a side-by-side or a quad, it's not like being in a car or truck. You are much more vulnerable. So, well,
just like being on a paddleboard, you're essentially, your body to
exposed.
Nature. Yeah, exactly. You're very exposed to that. So you guys set up a life jacket loaner station in Clarkdale. We've got a couple minutes to talk about that.
Sure.
You did bring in some life jackets,
yes.
And I don't know if these are ones that you can find at the loaner station, but let's just talk about the station itself. How did that idea come about, and how did you guys execute that?
Sure. So historically, loaner stations were started up in Alaska, targeting the youth that were drowning up there. Since then, most states, if not all the states, have some sort of loaner program, and there's several nonprofits that also provide that. The idea is to provide a means for boaters who get to a lake and they forgot a life jacket, they're missing a life jacket, the life jacket doesn't fit Johnny anymore because he grew. So you can get a correctly fitted life jacket for everybody without having to go back home. Arizona, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time sometimes to get to water, and folks get out to the lake and they realize they're short a life jacket, they're probably not going to turn around. They're just going to hope for the best. So we want to try and mitigate that risk. We've got loaner stations at we've got 18 different loaner stations around the state now. 2 of them just went in this spring over by Clarkdale at the Tapco lower river access point and the Tuzagoot river access point just across the bridge, with the idea being that a lot of folks float that section of river. So they can pick up a life jacket at the Tapco wrap and drop it off at the Tuzagoot wrap. Now, all our loaner stations around the state, the life jackets have been pulled for health concerns.
Right.
We're hoping to be able to get them back soon. In the meantime, we don't have the ability to decontaminate all the life jackets that folks are using. The city of Clarkdale did a big ask for us, the town of Clarkdale, because of a lot of people using the river, and they agreed to a very stringent decontamination process for the life jackets that are currently at the loaner stations.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. See COVID-19 going around, somebody grabs a life jacket, they put it on, and they're coughing all over it or whatever,
right.
And then they put it back, and like you just said, for now, the life jacket station is not operational, but it will be in the future, obviously, when we get past this health issue.
The 2 in Clarkdale are operational right now. They're single-use life jackets. They're being pulled and decontaminated after every use.
I mean, that makes sense too. Like you said, you've got Johnny who got a little bit bigger over the summer, and he can't wear the life jacket, so the one that you had doesn't work, and you have that availability to get that life jacket. So I think we're going to take a quick break. Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about life jackets. We're going to continue talking about boating safety and education with Arizona Game and Fish's Boating and Safety Education Coordinator, Josh Hoffman. Countywide will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
ORKIN has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses ORKIN's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the ORKIN man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona ORKIN and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9. Late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Are you struggling to overcome an addiction, depression, insomnia, or a weight problem? Then it's time for you to meet with Dr. Elaine Kissel, award-winning, world-renowned hypnotherapist, author, and mind trainer. Now you can get her help from the privacy and comfort of your own home. Let Elaine Kissel create a personalized hypnotherapy plan to overcome your problem forever. Call 844-4KISSEL now for a discounted evaluation appointment. That's 844-4KISSEL.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. I'd like to thank you for joining us. On today's show, we're talking many different topics. My guest in studio today is Arizona Game and Fish Boating Safety and Education Coordinator Josh Hoffman. Josh, we talked a little bit about monsoons in the beginning of the show. We did wrap up the first segment talking about life jackets. You did bring in some life jackets that you could see out on the water.
Yes.
Let's talk about a couple of them because some of them are fascinating to me. So
okay.
How about the big one on the end there?
All right, so your traditional life jacket floats no matter what, and we call that an inherently buoyant life jacket. They come in many different styles. This one happens to be billed as a fishing life jacket.
It's got zippers.
Lots of pockets. You can have a fishing tackle box velcroed on here. Lots of access, which is important. It's also billed as a paddling life jacket. You've got lots of room for your arms to move so you don't get chafing.
Yes.
The back is shorter so that when you sit down, it doesn't pop up. If you've ever sat in a canoe or kayak with a traditional ski vest, it's very uncomfortable.
It's the worst.
Okay. You can get them thinner back so it works good with the seat in your kayak or whatever. So this is a good option. This is what I use when I'm fishing. Inherently buoyant are great because they always float and you can just look at it and go, yep, this is going to work today. Downside is they're pretty darn hot.
Okay.
Strap one of these on in July. It's a lot of insulation around your body. You're going to really need to monitor your vitals, like make sure you don't get overheated.
Right.
And stay cool. So an alternative to an inherently buoyant is something we call an inflatable
I'll take this one
life jacket. Sure. And so these, this goes around your head. It's called the shoulder harness. There is no back. It isn't strapped down super tight, so it's much cooler to wear, and it's very lightweight.
Yeah.
It operates off of a CO2 cartridge that is deployed when you yank this cord, and there is a lot of material in here that then inflates, providing you with flotation.
Okay.
So that's a shoulder harness type, very popular with fishermen. You can get them where they automatically inflate if you fall in the water. So you're a bass fisherman, if you go swimming, something went wrong, you want your life jacket to deploy.
I noticed the other jacket you had a whistle attached to it. Is that sort of the same idea as like, hey, if you're out and about and nobody can hear you, if you blow the whistle as hard as you can, maybe somebody will.
Yeah, the Coast Guard requires us to carry a sound producing device on a vessel, and a whistle qualifies. And if you've got it on your life jacket and you're wearing your life jacket, then that means you've always got your emergency distress device with you, no matter where you are.
Okay.
And blowing a whistle when you're in cold water is a lot easier than hollering for help. Another inflatable type, very common, much more affordable. These run $50 to $70. Is a belt type harness.
Okay.
Worn like your fanny pack style. It's got a handle here. You jerk to deploy, and you've got a flotation aid. Very lightweight. You don't have to worry about tan lines, and you've always got your flotation device with you. You want to give it a try?
I do. Let's give it a shot. I'm not too worried about tan lines in the studio lights, but let's give this a quick shot. I'm going to take this mic off as quickly as I can, and let's give it a shot. Okay, so there we go. Ryan's got it. It wraps around your waist, just like you said. Usually you can't see the bottom half of me. I'm actually wearing pants this time. Mine's a little bit looser because I got to take it off quickly. But you just pull the tab?
Yeah, so you'll want to hold your belt with the other hand since
right about
looser,
here. So I'm grabbing the belt.
And then you're just going to yank it.
Okay, 1, 2. Oh, wow. That inflated a lot more than I thought it would.
So then you'll just pull that black strap that's right there.
Right here? This one?
This one there.
Yeah.
Because it's tucked in.
Oh, okay. I see it. It comes out, and you've got...
And then you can tuck that over your head, and you've got flotation aid right on your chest.
Yeah, it's like being in an airplane. They say that your headrest can be used as a flotation device. There you go, right there. That is fantastic. I'm really glad that we got to do that.
With inflatables, a thing to note is that they don't come from the store with the CO2 installed.
Okay, so you have to buy those.
Reasons. They come with them, but you have to screw it in.
Okay.
And they will come with big notices that, hey, this is not armed. You've got to install the CO2. If you don't install the CO2 and you're wearing this, relying on it to save you in an emergency, it's not going to work.
No.
And unfortunately, we have had fatalities around the nation with folks not properly installing CO2 in their inflatable. So there is a bit of a learning curve with inflatables, whereas an inherently buoyant, it's going to float no matter what.
Yeah.
These, you have to install the CO2, you have to maintain them. You want to pull yours. A lot of folks will have an inflatable for years and have never tested it. Mm-hmm. You want to pull it out, use this red tube here to inflate it.
Okay.
It's a check valve there.
Oh,
you can push it to let air out or blow in like a bike tire tube. Inflate this good and tight and let it sit for 24 hours. If it's still nice and tight, you're good to go. Take the air out, wrap it up, and use it. If it's deflated at all, you've got a leak somewhere, and that leak could fail catastrophically if the CO2 goes off. So you're going to need to replace it. So that's one way to maintain your your inflatable life jacket.
I've seen a few models like this on being advertised on Facebook and stuff like that. And I know that I know that when I saw the marketing, it was more marketed towards like small children who, and I know that that's not the case. Everybody, if you can purchase one of these, purchase one of them because they're fantastic.
Sure.
But I can see the appeal of, if my kids are out on the water and they're wearing one of these, the simplicity of just pulling the tab, and I know, okay, their body's going to be brought up to the water because, life jackets do help a lot. But there's some people who, you have the life jacket, it weighs down on the chest and your face is down in the water. I've had that a couple times. But something like this is forcing you up into the surface, correct?
Yeah, so with the life jackets you put on kids, you want to test them out at the lake, in the pool, before you're relying on them out on the water. Coast Guard has not approved the inflatables for, they're approved for 16 and older. Okay. There have been some that have come out recently that are approved for 12 years and older, but you're going to find it on the label. And you're going to want to make sure your life jacket has the U.S. Coast Guard approval number, and that's also where it's going to tell you if there's any age restrictions, like it'll say not usable for towed sports, because it'll get ripped off your body when you hit the water, that kind of thing. So if you're using an inflatable for a child, you need to make sure that it is approved for the age of your child. And if you do, the life jacket you do use for kids, my kids, I've got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. I've got them in the pool testing out the life jackets before I'm out taking them kayaking, because I'm not going to rely on that infant one to turn my 3-year-old face up automatically. I need to see what it's going to do and how she's going to react in the water with it.
So we've just got like just a minute or so. Just kind of quickly, and maybe we'll touch upon this when we come back, but what are some of the boating do's and don'ts that you see, some of the stuff that people forget before they go out on the water?
Okay, so, well, we can tackle it from the law aspect after the break if you want, but one of the things that just you want to keep in mind as a boater is make sure you've got enough life jackets for everybody on board. Arizona, the legal requirement is 12 and under need to wear a life jacket. You need to have a life jacket on board for everybody else if they're not wearing it. It needs to be accessible and it needs to be in good condition. If it's got a rip or a tear or a broken buckle, it's not in good condition, you need to get a new one. You want to make sure you've got hydration for everybody. Sun does a number on us here, and a lot of times, especially paddlers, you might think, I'm just going out for a little bit, leave your water at the beach or in your vehicle, and you can get yourself into some trouble. Having emergency supplies along, like especially with the monsoon coming up, make sure you've got a first aid kit, a flashlight, extra water. You want to let folks know where you're going.
Of course.
The lakes up around Prescott are pretty small. If you say you're going to Lynx, they're going to know where to find you. Right. But if you go to Lake Pleasant, there's a lot of lake to cover if somebody's looking for you. Right. So you want to be as detailed as possible. Let somebody know that you went and when they should be contacting emergency responders if you don't return.
So we still got a lot to talk about here on Countywide, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation about boating and wrap things up here on Countywide. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Starting in the late 90s, 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
ORKIN has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses ORKIN's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the ORKIN man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona ORKIN and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. We are continuing our conversation with Arizona Game and Fish Boating Safety and Education Coordinator Josh Hoffman. We were just talking about some of the boating do's and don'ts, some of the stuff people usually forget about. So if you missed the last segment, we're going to recap that right now. Josh, what are some of the things that people forget about?
Make sure you got life jackets before you leave home, and that you got one for everybody, they're the right size, and that they're in good condition. Emergency supplies, first aid kit, flashlight, lots of water. Make sure that you're familiar with the lake's restrictions, motor restrictions. Good resource on our Game and Fish website underneath fishing or boating. You can find the boat and fish map, which has all the information of all of the lakes in Arizona by region, and it's going to tell you there if there are any motor restrictions and fishing restrictions as well.
And then what about on the legal side of that? You mentioned the legal side at the beginning of the end of the last segment. So what about that?
Well, our officers are seeing a lot. The main infractions that they're seeing on the water is folks not slowing down in a no wake zone. This is applying to power boaters, of course. They need to go slow. It's because you've got a boat ramp there or a swim beach. So that's a big infraction. Riding on the bow or the transom or the gunnels at above wakeless speed, when that part of the boat is not designed to hold somebody at all speeds, that's extremely dangerous, and it is something that you'll get a ticket for.
Right.
Not obeying the navigation rules for the lake. Those are other issues. So those are some of the main issues that our officers see on the water. Easily fixable, but a lot of times folks just don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's another issue, is that you can go to our Game and Fish website, azgfd.com, and go to boating, and we've got 4 different online vendors that you can take a boating safety course through, and find out what you don't know. Make sure that you're legal and safe on the water. And coming this fall, we'll be starting our paddle classes again, paddle safety courses, which are, we cover the basics in the classroom, but we also put theory into practice and get on the water in a nice, safe, controlled environment. So look for those on our website this fall, and we'll get you out on the water.
Yeah, again, that website is azgfd.com or .gov, either or work. So how about this? What is the boating equivalent of drinking and driving? Because I know that there's probably an issue with that, people drinking and boating. Where's that at?
Yeah, so a beer out in the sunshine is nice, but I don't do it when I'm driving.
Yes.
A lot of other risky situations I'm not going to do it in, but we have this kind of blind spot when it comes to boating sometimes. We're in a high-risk environment, somewhere where we're inches from something that can kill us by drowning, but we might be inclined to imbibe in some alcohol. The fines and penalties are exactly the same if you are impaired on the water as an operator as if you are driving a vehicle.
And we got just a minute, so let's talk about this. How important is it to wipe down your boats regarding with the quagga mussel and the zebra mussel?
Yeah, we've got a lot of invasive species that are easily transported from one lake to another, so you got to make sure that your vessel is clean. The catchphrase is clean, drain, and dry. Clean your vessel from everything visible, hose it down. Drain all the water out, make sure your bilge pumps are out, make sure that you tip your kayaks up, get all the water out, and then let it dry. The stuff in the lakes, they don't handle well to getting out in the Arizona sunshine without water. So if you can get your vessel completely dry before putting it in a new body of water, you're going to help ensure that you're not transferring something from one place to another.
Josh, thank you very much. I know that I really appreciate you coming in and talking about all that stuff. We know have a lot of people going out on the lakes right now, and a lot of people going out and boating some stuff that maybe they didn't even know about. And I feel like this is very educational. Again, always have a life jacket, have extra supplies, tell people where you're going. If you're caught in a monsoon, get to safety quickly. And as always, have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you again next time.